Hello, I'm Emma Jenkins, and this is my presentation on my placement with the One Tree Per Child project in Bristol. I discovered One Tree Per Child whilst exploring local conservation and sustainability projects. Bristol adopted the scheme in 2014 as part of their European Green Capital status. As the name suggests, the project's aim is to plant one tree for every primary school child in Bristol. They encourage community sustainability and teach children of the importance of trees within their local area and around the world. The project is primarily council funded, and they pay for schools to visit sites to plant hedgerows and trees. However, due to budget cuts, this funding has been removed, and schools must secure their own transport. As a result, school participation has reduced rapidly within the last few years, and aside from a couple of paid employees who run the operation, the organisations rely solely on volunteers. Bristol reached their initial target of 36,000 trees in 2015 and now aim to plant an additional 24,000 by 2020. These trees are planted in various locations around the city in the forms of woodlands, hedgerows, fruit trees and specimen trees. These specimen trees can be sponsored by corporate groups or members of the public. I helped in the private planting of a memorial oak tree, which was paid for by the family who were dedicating the tree. Members of the public can sponsor trees by filling out a form online. I chose the One Tree Per Child project because I wanted to explore how an organisation can encourage the interaction of people with their natural environment. I also wanted to help encourage children to think sustainably and give back to the environment. I wanted to gain experience working with a conservation charity and gain a new understanding of the local environment. When I first signed up for the project, I expected to see a large level of community involvement. However, I was surprised to find that very few local people turned up to planting events, and that most of the work is carried out by long-term volunteers. I expected to plant trees and work within schools. However, due to budget cuts, school participation was also not as high as I expected. I also expected to learn the behind-the-scenes work of the operations, which would be useful to me if I continued to pursue a career in this line of work. Planting was a large part of the work I did with the project. I helped plant woodlands, hedgerows, specimen trees, fruit trees and sponsor trees. I also worked with children. This involved a day at a primary school where we helped the children plant hedgerows and the fruit trees in their orchards. I had to deliver the demonstration to the children and members of a corporate group about how to properly plant a tree. I found this a nerve-wracking experience because there were at least 50 people watching me. However, I do believe that it encouraged my skills and developed them further. I also helped teach new volunteers throughout this experience, often corporate groups who were sent for one-day volunteering. I had to sort trees by species, which has expanded my knowledge on local trees. I mapped and checked new sites, and I worked within the head office. I also helped maintain sites from previous years. Before a location can be planted, service maps must be created displaying the potential pipelines and cables in an area. I created such maps during my days in the office using software called Pinpoint. After this, a planting map can be created using software such as ArcGIS. This is software that I've come into contact with before during my university experience, so this is an opportunity for me to expand my knowledge. These plans are then released to the public, who can analyse them and raise any concerns. Following this, the ground needs to be checked. This video displays me checking the ground to see how far it goes before it reaches concrete. There is about a foot of earth here, which is plenty deep enough to plant a sapling. The ground is then re-scanned to ensure that no pipelines or waterworks have been missed. Should this machine come into contact with metal, it will beep loudly. We then mark up the sites ready for planting, and within the next week, volunteers will arrive to plant the allocated trees. The planting process is more complicated than I previously imagined it to be. Firstly, we have to separate trees by species. All species are native to England, and they include lime, hazel, oak and cherry. We then marked out the location for each tree. They must be 2 meters apart to allow for roots to grow. When planting the trees, you have to ensure that all roots are covered, otherwise the tree will die out. Once this is planted, we cover the sapling in a rabbit guard. This ensures small animals do not kill the tree before it has a chance to grow. Finally, we fit a mulch mat. This ensures grasses do not overtake the tree's growth rate and starve it of sunlight. Both mulch mats and rabbit guards can be subjected to vandalism because they are unsightly, although this vandalism is not always malicious. Rabbit guards are often removed from the trees because members of the public believe that they are choking the tree and it will not get a chance to grow. Rabbit guards can often be found laying next to the site where the tree was located, so that volunteers can collect them at a later date. Maintenance days included the carrying of trees from previous years. To do this, we had to ensure that the cages were intact and replace any missing or broken ones. We also had to ensure that the poles were sturdy enough to withstand the tree as it grew. Sometimes these had to be driven further into the ground. When this was done, we removed weeds from the base of the tree and provided the trees with fresh mulch. Vandalism was a large concern when doing maintenance days. It was disheartening to see members of the public had destroyed and damaged trees. This image shows the previous location of a tree from last year. However, all aspects of it had been stolen and damaged. On one instance, a member of the public approached us and told us that we should not bother replanting the trees as it will only get damaged again. My training for this experience included equipment and tool handling training, as I would handle shears and pole drivers. I was also shown how to properly plant a tree to ensure survival, and I was shown how to use new mapping software such as Pinpoint. I have gained much during my experience with the One Tree Per Child project. I believe my communication skills have been boosted due to both my demonstration at the primary school and through interactions with the general public. I believe my confidence has also been boosted, and I know I have the ability to go from university life into a working environment. I've developed new teamwork skills and begun to understand new software such as Confirm and Pinpoint. I've also developed my GIS mapping skills. I've gained new understanding of the local environment and gained valuable experience within a conservation organisation. Throughout my experience, I've received a wealth of guidance and advice from both paid members of the team and through volunteers who have worked with conservation all of their lives. I have also learnt a lot about the processes behind an organisation which operates within the public eye. I understand the budget cuts are having a huge impact on the organisations and how they can run. I also understand that working within the community faces large challenges, and that planning is the most time-consuming aspect of any project. If a project cannot adapt and change in response to communities, then it cannot succeed. I have discovered that I have the ability to adapt and learn to new things, and can work within different and new environments. I found this extremely daunting at the thought of finishing university and going into a working environment, and I have not had a professional job before. I found I am good at interacting with the public, and I can explain the project's purpose. I can also work well within a team, but take charge of situations when the opportunity is presented to me. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with the One Tree Per Child project. The experience has been extremely valuable to me, and the lessons I've learned I will continue to use throughout my working life. The advice and guidance provided by the team have helped provide me with a clearer path for my future. In the future, I would like to continue volunteering and participate within global projects. If I were to repeat this placement, I would like to be more involved within the education process. However, due to budget cuts, these opportunities were not as frequent as I expected, although I did take those that were presented to me, and I enjoyed them. I would like to thank the One Tree Per Child project for allowing me to carry out my placement with them, and for the opportunities they have provided me. The work they do is fantastic, and I will surely miss it.